Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the technical session number 4 of the International Obe Symposium hosted by Ansarullah University of Science and Technology. My name is Rizauddin bin Ramli. I'm the head of Mechanical Engineering Program at the University of Malaysia. I'll be your rapporteur today. Okay, for the session number 4, it will be chaired by Dr. Kabir, Dr. Qazi Baizik Kabir. Okay. Let me read his brief biography of Dr. Kabir. Baizik Kabir is a professor of chemical engineering. At the Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology, or BUET. He completed his PhD from Monash University in 2014. Prior to that, he completed his Master of Science in Chemical Engineering in 2009 and Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering in 2004, both from BUET. He has been involved in energy research with emphasis of solid fuel conversion, pyrolysis and gasification, syngas conversion to liquid and gaseous fuels via heterogeneous catalyst waste to energy through hydrothermal treatment and life cycle assessment and techno-economic assessment of energy conversion processes. Apart from teaching and research, Dr. Kabir also has keen interest in academic quality assurance. He is currently the additional director of BUET's Institutional Quality Assurance Cell, IQAC, and work closely with the Quality Assurance Unit of UGC. Dr. Kabir is the current member secretary of the Board of Accreditation for Engineering and Technical Education, BIT. Dr. Kabir is a life member of Institution of Engineers Bangladesh, IEB, as well as senior member of the American Institute of Chemical Engineering, and also the associate member of the Institution of Chemical Engineers, ICHEM. So without any delay, I pass the session chair to Dr. Kabir. The floor is yours, Dr. Kabir.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Dr. Ramli, for the introduction. Good afternoon and good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the session 4 of the Symposium. So we have Associate Professor Ajmeen. She will be presenting on outcome-based education, CQI practices in IIUM. So before we start the presentation, I would like to introduce Associate Professor Ajmeen. Associate Professor Dr. Noor Fadila binti Mohammed Ajmeen obtained her BSc degree in Electrical Engineering in 1999 from the Oklahoma State University. She also obtained a PhD in Chem-Eng and Advanced Materials from Newcastle University, UK in 2013. She is the head of the Program Accreditation and Quality Assurance for the Kulia of Engineering IIUM. Prior to that, she was the HOD of the Biotech Engineering from 2019 to 2021. She has also served as the academic advisor of Biochemical Biotechnology Engineering undergraduate program from 2014 to 2018. She has conducted workshops on project-oriented problem-based learning and Google Classroom management. Her research interest span across chemometrics, signal processing to engineering education. I would now request Dr. Ajmeen to start her presentation. Dr. Ajmeen, you have 30 minutes for your presentation, which will be followed by a 10 minutes Q&A. Over to you.
Thank you, Prof. Dr. Kabir. I'm going to share my slide. If somehow my slide is not moving, can you let me know? Right.
Yes.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So basically today I will share with you on the continuous quality improvement practices in the Kuliah of Engineering in IIUM. Okay, so first of all, before I go into how we do it in IIUM, I would like to share with you a few quotes regarding OBE. So the first one is by one of the gurus in OBE, Spadi. This was back in 1993, but it's still relevant to what we are doing right now, which is outcome-based education means focusing and organizing a school's entire program and instructional efforts around the clearly defined outcomes we want all students to demonstrate when they leave school. So when we relate what we have heard from Prof. Shuhaimi this morning, this is, like the PEO that we want to achieve at the end of our program. And the second quote is from Kutlas, just 1 year after study. OBE is a process that focuses on what is to be learned, the outcomes. So, for yesterday and today, we have learned a lot about outcomes. So basically, that's our intention. So the overview of my presentation, I will cover briefly on what is Cqi, and then why do we do Cqi, and how we do Cqi in Kuliah of Engineering at IIUM with the focus on gain of accreditation and maintaining accreditation. Okay, so basically, a Cqi, which is a continuous quality improvement culture in the spirit of OBE, it provides a framework for educational institutions to carry out performance management, and also to quantify and document the processes to ensure that the IHL or the educational institution meet the goals that they have set. Okay, so basically that's the goals. And then why we do Cqi? Okay, why do we want to have accreditation? So basically the objective of accreditation is to ensure that Cqi is being practiced by our educational institution. And by doing Cqi, we can actually gain many benefits, and among them are team members' accountability, creativity and solution creation, heightened team member morals, improved processes, information management and document, tools and methods to monitor program effectiveness, and also the opportunities for us to look into additional programs and new modules. Okay. So let's go to our my main topic today. How do we go about doing it in IIUM? Okay, so before I go into how we do it, I need to show to you like what is the building blocks of our OBE framework, right? It starts with our vision and mission of the university, as well as the vision and mission of the faculty. And this trickles down and also in sync with the program educational objectives. The program educational objectives is set by the faculty, okay? And when we set the PEO, we make sure that it is in sync with the vision and mission, and also it is in sync with the program outcomes, which has been set up or listed by the accreditation council. So we make sure that we cover all the graduates attributes that the accreditation council wants. Okay, and then this trickles down to the course outcomes or the learning outcomes in the courses that we have in our program. So if you see there at the left-hand side, the course outcome and the learning outcomes are the one that we assess upon a course completion, and the program outcomes are the ones that we assess upon graduation. It doesn't mean that you only assess it at the end of graduation. It is actually a continuous assessment for the program outcomes. But then for the program education outcomes, it is something that we assess 3 to 5 years after graduation. I will show you this as I go along. Okay, before I continue, I need to set the ground. This is the vision and mission of my university. IIUM aims to be a leading international center of educational excellence, which seeks to restore the dynamic and progressive role of the Muslim Ummah in all branches of knowledge and intellectual discourse. So these are important when we build our OBE framework. And our mission is summarized into integration, Islamization, internationalization, and comprehensive excellence. So this trickles down to the mission and vision, and also the strategic direction of our kuliah, where our vision is to be a global center of innovative engineering education and research with values and professional ethics. And our mission is we want to be a referral hub for engineering education and sustainable solutions based on Islamic principles for a better world. And our current strategic direction is for humanizing engineering education towards viable ecosystem. So all of this are the building blocks of our OBE framework. So these are our program educational objectives. We have set for PEO. Basically, we want our graduates to advance in career and professional standing. And you can see we have graduates who demonstrate morale, graduates who engage in entrepreneurial activities, as well as graduates who engage in lifelong learning. So as you can see, if you were to look at the graduate attributes that have been set up by the Accreditation Council, we try to encapsulate all of that into our PEO. Okay? So in this slide, this is basically our OBE framework. Okay, the model that we are using is the culminating course model. So our courses are divided into two groups. The year 1 until year 3 courses are basically courses that we put under enabling group, and some of the courses from the final year are the ones that we put in culminating group. Not all courses in final year, just some. And those courses are the integrated design project, which is the capstone project, and the final year project, because we have two final year, we have one final year project, but we separate that into two courses, like the 1 semester and 2nd semester. And then we have the technology entrepreneurship course, and then engineering ethics, and we have one program specific. Okay, there is the way we put it as program specific, because at my faculty, Kuliah of Engineering, we have 9 programs. So for each program, they need to have one course that is contributing towards the culminating course. Okay, because basically when we do our PO attainment, the program outcomes attainment, we are going to calculate the PO attainment based on these 6 courses. Okay, so for our CQI, we have layers of CQI, but at least these are the least layers. Okay, basically these are like the 3 layers. We start with the course outcomes. Okay, this is where the first layer of CQI, and then we go on to the program outcomes, and then we go into the program educational outcomes. So for each of these layers, there are documents and there are process involved. Okay, I'm going to show you right after this. Right. So to accommodate those layers, these are the inputs that we are going to use when we do our CQI. Okay, the first one, the first bubble is you can see the CAR, PAR, pair exit survey. Okay, the CAR stands for Course Assessment Report, meaning like at the end of every semester, each course, they need to do assessment in terms of the PO attainment of the students in that cohort. Okay, and then the PAR, Program Assessment Report, basically for that particular cohort, after they finish one study year, we need to do a program assessment, meaning in terms of PO attainment for that one study year, how those students are doing. Okay, and then for the pair, Program Educational Outcomes Assessment Report, that is after 3 to 5 years after graduation, right? And then the exit survey, those are survey that we give to the students. We ask them to answer a set of questions after they just finish their 4th year. So all of this will be part of the inputs that we are going to use for our CQI. Okay, and the second bubble, you can see we have industrial training survey. So after a 3rd year completion, our students will be going for their industrial training. And when they went for their industrial training, we will provide a survey to the employer to answer. And some of the questions involves like whether the fundamental knowledge that we have give to the students is enough for the students to use when they work when they do their industrial training and that sort of things. And the ethics, as all of those are in the industrial training survey survey. Okay, and then we have also industrial advisory panels. Okay, this one we engage with our industrial advisory panels in terms of our CQI. We engage them in multiple activities. Okay, for example, in my department, we have industry day. So basically, like once a year, we will invite like 3 or 4 people from industries for a forum, to give a talk. And then at the same time, we also ask our students who just came back from their industrial training to present their posters. So by doing this, the other students who have not yet go for industrial training, they will gain experience. Okay, so when we meet with these industry advisory panels, from the talk and also from the meeting with them, we will get some input how to improve our program. Okay, and then the fourth bubble, external examiners, external assessors. This is actually one of the requirements set by the Accreditation Council in Malaysia. Like every 2 years, we need to sit down with our external examiner or our external assessor and ask them several questions regarding how we are doing, our program. So this one we need to do like every 2 years. And then we also have benchmarking. And again, this is one of the requirements by our Accreditation Council. And then the other one is alumni survey. And we engage our alumni not just in survey. Some of our industrial advisory panel actually are our alumni, because they, we have our program started in 2001. So we have several of our alumni now who are already in the industry. So they actually come back and give back to us in terms of betterment or improvement of our program. Okay, so this is the process and the documentation. Remember early on I said about the cross assessment report, the program assessment report. So basically this is like one cohort, one batch of students. When they come in the first semester, at the end of that semester, we will do a course assessment report based on the courses that they have taken, courses from our own program. And then after semester 2, meaning one study year, we will do course assessment report together with the program assessment report, like the combination of both the cars. Okay. And then after 3-year completion, when they do the industrial training, the employer survey that I explained just now. And then at the end of the semester 8, that's when we will calculate the PO attainment based on the 6 courses, the 6 culminating courses. Okay. And then you can see at the right hand of the graph, sorry, it's not exit survey, basically actually the PEO survey after 3 to 5 years. Okay, that's my mistake. All right, I already come to my conclusion actually. So when you want to do, OBE and CQI, what's important is the process flow in the OBE needs to be identified. But then it is not a constant thing. It is something that we need to continuously improve. Even though, I mean, when we set things up, we might think we have everything we need. But as you go along, you will see, when you get feedback from the benchmarking, from the industrial players, from your alumni, there are always things that you need to improve. But then what's important is the documents and the data from each of the process. For example, just now when you meet with your industrial advisory panel, or when you ask your alumni to come and sit down with you, all of that needs to be documented, because from there you will have a summary of what needs to be done for your CQI. Okay, so with that, I think I can conclude now. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum. I hand over to you, Prof. Kazi.
Thank you, Dr. Ashmin, for a very quick and informative presentation on the CQI process. So the programs, engineering programs in Bangladesh are getting used to this CQI process and definitely looking into the process you are, or the steps you are practicing. So I'd like to open the floor for questions. So if you have any questions for Dr. Azmin, please type in your questions in the QA, and then yes, I can see Dr. El Sheikh Mohammed. Yeah, please go ahead with your question.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Azmin.
Salam.
Thank you very much for your nice presentation. In fact, it's a kind of question and also comment from one of your early slides, I think the second or the third slide, when you made a list of the advantages of having the CQI. I think that the one on the top of your list was accountability, right?
Correct.
So I think that one is a bit scary, because normally, you know, when you are implementing OBE and CQI, you need full engagement from all the colleagues, all the staff in your department. So, you know, naturally we are afraid, we are scared when something might lead to accountability and there are some consequences, that thing will make us, you know, not fall in love with CQI and OBE, right? So this is my observation, that sometimes in some programs, if there is so much emphasis on this accountability thing, okay, you will find that the staff are very reluctant to collaborate, and sometimes we tend to, like, you know, do things in a way that everything will look, you know, nice and bright and there's no problem, you know. The way we do the assessment, the way we design the course, the way we even sometimes maybe we end up cooking some of the results, you know, just to show up that everything is in place. You know, my course is perfect, there's no issues, and there's nothing wrong there. I tend to follow the wisdom I hear from some of the examiners when they come to see the CQI. They try to share that, you know, the CQI need to be put in the right mindset, and the right mindset here, which is also mentioned in your slide, is that the CQI is there to improve, rather to hold anyone to as accountable for the shortcomings, you know, because the shortcomings can be because of so many different reasons. It could be because of the facilities are not there, maybe the students are not well prepared, maybe because some of the background knowledge is not in place, you know, maybe some of the previous courses are not good enough. So I think, yeah, that word accountability sometimes, you know, creates some issue. I don't know what you think, because you have experience, you have been like a head of department, and now you are a head of this quality unit. So maybe you can share some of your experience with that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Dr. Ashik. I hope you remember me. We were colleagues.
Of course,
Okay.
yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. So yeah, basically, I agree with you. But then, when we talk about accountability, it's not like a blaming game. You know, like if things doesn't go the way we wanted it to be, when, for example, when the accreditation panel come to visit us, we don't want to blame anybody, but rather the accountability is more like everyone is accountable in terms of preparing or in terms of doing the CQI. You know, for example, in the course assessment report. So everyone who is teaching, they need to be accountable to do the course assessment report. Meaning they need to know what sort of assessment, what sort of instructional design that they need to put in place, so that at the end of the semester, they are able to do the course assessment report. It's not like when the EAC panel, when the accreditation panel come, only then you think, oh, I haven't done this, oh, I haven't done that. No, the process needs to start from the beginning. So that's what I meant by accountability. It's not really like we want to put the blame on anybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Azmin. Thank you.
I saw a question.
Yes, there's a question from Mohammed Omar in the chat box. So the first one I'll read out. Is there a source of funding for the external reviewer?
In our university, yes, there is a funding for the external reviewer. When they come, there are the university have put aside some like honorarium for them.
And the second part of the question, this is an extensive process. Could you please elaborate on the administrative structure?
Okay, I am. Thank you for the question. I'm not really sure what you mean by administrative structure. Can you elaborate? Do you mean like who did what, that kind of thing?
Maybe, yeah, like
Okay. All right.
The structure.
Dr. Omar, you can ask the question directly if you want. Dr. Muhammad Umar, you can talk if you want.
Dr. Umar, are you there?
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for this presentation. It's really exciting to see something like this. I can see this is very extensive process and very elaborate. We are implementing something similar here, but what I would like to learn from you is basically how this process will come under in terms of who's doing what, because basically you will end up with people doing a lot of work. So if you have better structures than what we have, we would like to learn from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Umar. Can I share just one slide so I can explain?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I think, okay, maybe I share this one first. All right. Not this one. Okay, this one. Okay, so yeah, it looks like it's extensive at the beginning, but once things get into rhythm, it becomes a habit. Then, inshallah, I mean, after some time, you will get things in place. Okay, for example, when you say a thing, who's doing what? Okay, the course assessment report. This one needs to be done by all lecturers, meaning whoever is teaching, whoever are teaching, they need to do course assessment report for their course. But then the head of department or the dean of the faculty needs to have like a committee to set up like how do you want the course assessment report to look like? What are the content that you want to be put inside there? For example, here in Kuliah of Engineering, in our course assessment report, we have put some KPI, for example, okay, we want the student in that cohort to achieve at least 70% of the POs set for that course. So if that course at the end of the semester achieve 70% of the PO attainment, then we will say, okay, this cohort is fine. But then if they did not achieve, the course lecturer needs to suggest something so that the lecturers who is teaching that course after him needs to do some CQI, maybe in terms of assessment, in terms of teaching delivery, so that the semester after that, the PO attainment can be improved. Okay, that's for one thing. And then for the program assessment report, okay, that one, because in Kuliah of Engineering, we have 9 programs and 7 departments. So each department, they have like a team of the head of department and maybe 3 or 4, like a small team. So at the end of every 2 semesters, they will actually sit down and look at the program assessment. to come up with the program assessment report so that they know what needs to be done for the next cohort in terms of CQI. Okay, and then the industrial training, okay, that one is another unit. Okay, the employer survey, the exit survey, the PO attainment. So basically, the administrative structure in Kuliah of Engineering, at the faculty level, we have the program accreditation coordinator, and at each department we also have a representative for the program accreditation. So like myself, I have a small members from each program to actually work together with me, focusing on their own department. But I will look at the overall things. So that's how. Am I answering your question, Dr. Omar?
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes, I see.
Yeah, I think there was another query regarding the benchmarking from Dr. Omar.
Okay, could you please elaborate? And okay, benchmarking. Okay, basically, benchmarking. What we do is we need to go and visit another university with this a similar program like what we are doing. Okay, and usually our practice is we go to one local university, one national university, and then another one international university. For example, in 2019, my Department of Biotechnology Engineering, we went to University Technology Petronas, that's for our local university, to visit their chemical engineering bachelor degree. And we went to Institute of Technology Bandung, ITB. They also have chemical engineering. So when we went there, what we do is we will talk about our program. We will compare, for example, what are the courses that they are offering from year 1 until year 4, and we will show them what are the courses that we are offering, and we will also visit their facilities in terms of labs, computer labs, chemical labs, what are the equipments that they have, their pilot plant, for example. So all of that, we need to come up with a report so that we know if there is anything that we are lacking. Same thing with them. Is that okay, Dr. Omar?
Thank you very much. I appreciate your contributions. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Ajmin. I can see Professor Islam raised his hand. Professor Islam, can you please ask your question?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. My question is related to Dr. Omar's question about the administrative aspect. Administrative aspect, I can look into the matter into two ways. One is university aspect, another is departmental aspect. For university case, you know that there are different sections like register office, exam section, account section, research development section. So is it possible to have another section like OB section? That is another part of my question. And another, from departmental point of view, every faculty member has to do a lot of things. He has to prepare himself and do the teaching learning process. He has to improve himself by research and development, write papers, etc., and then to OB process. So do you have any suggestion regarding these two aspects, how we can divide our job in different parts, or divide the administrative, what will be the administrative target in these cases, or structure in these cases? I just request for your suggestion.
Thank you so much. Okay, you are right. Actually, when you say the administrative part can be two ways. Yeah, you're right. Like in IUM, in my faculty, we have one at the faculty level, like I said, like the one that I am heading, and then at the department level, each department they will have at least two. Some have 3 and some have 4, depending on how many courses they are offering. So like we have 2 levels, but we work together in terms of preparing for the accreditation and preparing for the survey and that kind of thing. Okay, but And then that on the administrative. Your second question regarding how my suggestions. Okay, basically at times I'm still trying to balance like the teaching and learning, the research, and also the administrative, because there's only one us, one of us. You cannot divide yourself into three. So sometimes there are certain part lacking, and sometimes certain part are more than the others. But then from the administrative point of view, when I was the HOD, actually even my dean at the moment, those with the administrative task, they will be given like less teaching load. For example, one course is like 3 credit hours. So like myself, if I am holding this administrative post, it is considered like as if I am teaching one course. So I get 3 credit hours for this admin post, that kind of thing. So those are the things that maybe you want to think about.
Thank you.
So I can see Dr. Mohammed Raisuddin Khan. If you please ask your question.
I'm not asking a question, I'm actually complimenting my colleague. Some of the parties she already answered that in the administrative structure, she's the head of the unit, and from each of the department there is another head coming from each of the department, but that head will be leading another small team of 3 or 4 members. This is the way the administrative structure. And she already mentioned who are holding this position. They are officially actually appointed, and some of them get remuneration if she is the top, maybe Dr. Dila, we call her Dila, Fadila Dila. So Dr. Dila being the head, so he's supposed to get some remuneration. But the others down there, they got in terms of what is called credit. They will have 1 credit hour, 1 course of, that means we have some requirements. If a lecturer, then they have to fulfill 12 credit hours per semester. So if someone is a member there, so he needs only 9 credit hours like this. This is the way they actually do it. And on top of that, I'll also give some other input, because I'm also external assessor of another university here. So I have to check their documents as well. So when they declare whether the POs or COs are achieved, they actually set some index like this. How many percentage, specifically they put the bottom line. So whether the, what is called, more than 60% student achieving more than B or more than B plus, that means the course is going well. This is one. Okay. If say some of the courses, the failure is very high and the C is very high, then we give suggestion to the lecturer. So, and we check actually how he is actually administering the what is called course. And in writing, actually, we give input as external assessor. I give in writing. So what may be the probable way so that he can improve. So that is also the part of the CQI when they present the ESC panel. So these are already suggested. And when I visit them next year, they actually present this stuff with me. Okay, your suggestions were this, and we adapted until, because they cannot adapt to all suggestions like this. So this is one of the way actually to check it. And on top of that, actually all the lecturers are involved. When this committee in the department works, they will compile all these in that particular semester, and they will call a meeting under the head of the department. And they will actually present what are the courses, which are their levels, and how can we improve. So we manage all these elements. And this is for our benefit as well, of course. And also to show the ESC that we are going through the courses, POs in detail. And PO, of course, this is from the external assessment. Okay, thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Professor Dean.
Thank you. I think before we move on, we have time for one more question. So, Professor Majidul Islam, I can see you raised your hand.
Thank you very much. Hi, sister. How are you? Good to see you. Yeah. Thank you. One question I have regarding your CQI for PEO. Yeah. So, I mean, you are taking only exit survey. Yeah. I mean, but you're not doing any survey among the employers when they're actually working in the field?
You mean the PEO, right?
Or PEO, right?
Okay, the PEO just now, it's my mistake when I type. It should be the survey.
Exactly, that's what I was
Yeah.
wondering. Yeah, if you can go to that slide, because people might get, wrong impression.
Okay. Yes.
Because your survey looks like you were doing it during the industrial training. Yeah. So that's why I was wondering.
Okay, it should be this one.
Yeah, employer survey should be after 3 to 5 years, right?
Yes, the PEO survey. We have actually two employer survey. One after the completion of industry training. Okay, that one for the trainee. And then after 3 to 5 years, we have actually two surveys also. One is the PEO survey. We ask our students where they are in their career and so on. And also we have survey for the employer.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, right? Yeah, that's what I was just wondering. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation to deliver a presentation. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, I'll take one last question from Muhammad Kausar before we move on to the next presentation. So you can actually unmute and you can ask your question.
Thank you very much for a very nice presentation. I have a few queries. Number one, for example, when we talk about continuous improvement, the input comes from, first of all, from the course instructor. For example, when he is assessing COs and then looking for the attainment of PO levels, then if there are some deficiencies, then how these deficiencies are reported? That is one question. Then based on those reported deficiencies, what actions are being taken to close the loop, right? And after closing the loop, how do you ensure that those reported deficiencies have been met to get the continuous improvement? That is one thing. Secondly, here we are only talking about the continuous improvement in terms of the CO assessment. How about the facilities? For example, if textbooks are not up to date, how often do you upgrade the lab facilities and how are they being continuously monitored that they are meeting the requirements? And how about the standard for student intake and other facilities as well? So do you include in general into continuous improvement as well? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Sorry, I didn't get the name just now. All right. For the CQI, just now, okay, how the deficiencies are being reported. So basically, when we do the cost, assessment report, basically the team at the department, the one that Professor Sudin just now said, like a smaller team, they will meet and they will look at all the cost assessment submitted by the lecturers in that department. So we will see whether the KPI set has been attained or not. If it is not, then we will report that in our departmental meeting. So the lecturer needs to take action. And then for the next semester, that lecturer needs to report, needs to give reflection of what action that he has taken to close the loop that has, to close the loop of the deficiencies that happens the previous semester. So that's how we report and we close the loop. Okay. And then whether the close the loop is actually closed, we need to look at the PO attainment. If it's closed, then we, based on that, because we would like to put trust on everyone. So we say if we see the PO is attained, then we believe that he actually do or take some action to close the loop. Okay. So that's one thing. Okay, on the facilities, let me go in. Okay, thank you for the question. Yeah, I didn't touch on that. Basically, our university is, we get our funding from the government. So when we want to buy equipment, we have to submit a proposal to the government, to get the fund. But in terms of maintenance, we need to, like I said, for every process, it needs to have documents. So for every maintenance, we have two types of maintenance for the facility, for our lab equipment, for example. We have like in-house maintenance, and we also have a maintenance where we call the supplier like to regularly come and check. So all of that needs to be properly documented. So when you want to prepare the report, it is there. Okay, that's in terms of lab equipment. Standard for student intake. Okay, that one actually students that comes into our faculty, they have gone through. We have two types of students. One are students from high school, meaning they finish the high school and they go to our foundation campus. Okay, so we will take students who actually choose engineering from our foundation. And then the other type of students we call as direct intake. That one are like students from another university who did up until diploma, for example. They finished the 3 years of study and they want to continue the degree. So they come to our university, for example. So those students, they need to have certain grades, like certain CGPA, certain grades, for them to be able to enroll in College of Engineering. Okay, so am I answering the question?
Thank you very much. Highly appreciated.
Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ajmin, and everyone for this very lively discussion. So we have Associate Professor Mandal amongst us. Associate Professor Shamul Kumar Das Mandal received his Bachelor's of Engineering in Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering in 1998 and PhD in 2007 from Jadavpur University. He is currently an associate professor at IIT Kharagpur. His research interests are OBE curriculum development, computer-based assessment and evaluation, computer-assisted spoken language learning, and accent conversion. So now I would like to request Associate Professor Dr. Mandal to start his presentation. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, yeah, we can hear.
And my PPT is visible?
It's coming up.
Okay. So I think
I don't see the slides yet. Yeah.
Is it now visible?
Can you try unsharing and sharing it again?
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, I am sharing. Share now.
Yes, I can see it now. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for your kind introductions. And I'm talking about that accreditation and outcome-based curriculum design. So rather, instead of presenting that, you can say that how do I implement in the institute, I said how it can be implemented in an institute. So that methodology part, and that not the accreditation process, I'll talk about that how accreditation can be implemented in institute level. And also I'll touch upon, while I'm doing that accreditation, I'll touch upon that present need of change of education things, or classroom education, what kind of classroom education should we look for, and what kind of change as a teacher we have to do. So let's start with that challenge. I just see. Okay, so challenge we face in 21st century education, especially in India, we are facing that so much challenges for this kind of problem. First problem is that how to improve student engagement. That means most of the cases it was found that students are not engaged throughout the semester or throughout the years in education process. Most of the time you can find out the students are saying that, okay, we did it during that semester exam, or we did it during that annual exam. So what happening is that most of the students spend their time, but without engaging their skill development in the class. And the teachers also complaining that the students are not coming in the class, and so that teachers lose their motivation. Those kind of things is happening. So as a teacher, my challenge is how do I engage the students? The biggest challenge today is in classroom environment. Next question is how to equip students with 21st century knowledge, skill, and attitude. Today we talk about accreditation implementation in classroom, and we talk about the accreditation in a documentation. But think about that, if I just say that theory, that only the remembering things are, we teach Maxwell. Since I am electronics background, I'll give an example from mostly from electronic sides. So let's say electronics background, if I see that a students, I talk about that, okay, this is the time derivative of Schrodinger equation, this is used in device, that is not enough. You have to develop their skill, what they can do with Schrodinger equation. That is very much required. And we have to develop their positive attitude. So how do you do that in the classroom environment? Most of the time, we in the class, we started presenting a material from one corner of the board to the next corner of the board, or today we come with the PPT and presenting that material. And what happened is that students, once I opened that PPT, students said that, okay, this PPT is available in the internet. Okay, so why should I attend this class? I can attend, I can read it from the internet and I can give the exam. So, but that is not at all. So we have to develop their skill. How can I develop their skill? I'll just quote from Tagore, since the Tagore, since it is a Bengali environment, I take the privilege to having being in Bengali. So in Tagore, if you remember in the long back, Tagore, before when he set up the Santiniketan, he said that we are carrying education. Education is not carrying us. Tagore said that Cqi amra bahon koriai cholilam, bahon korite parilam na. That means today in education system, somehow there is something that we are just saying that, okay, this question is very important, you read this question, or this explanation is very important, you read this explanation. We do not know how that students will develop the skill on that important aspect. We only rely on, okay, this is the question, I have to give the answer. So Tagore realized that long back. So as a teacher, I not only have to deliver the information in the class, I have to develop their skill and attitude. So how do I develop their skill? Next question is how to allow continuous improvement. You said the attainment of the curricula, how do I check the attainment of a curricula, or how do I change the curricula? We have a curriculum revision committee. After every 5 years, my curricula is revised. No, today scenario, it is not required. If you see that curricula has to be revised for even if every semester. There are a lot of open educational resources are coming out in that market. You can see how I can incorporate those things closely with my curricula so that my curricula remain updated for every semester, not for every 5 years or 10 years. After 10 years, there will be a curriculum committee, revise the curriculum. That is not sufficient. So how do I allow continuous improvement in my curriculum? If I say the teacher is doing it, how do I evidence the teacher is doing it? What evidence should I take from the teachers that the teachers is continuously changing the curriculum with right direction of the industry, what the industry is required for in case of an engineering education? Next question is how to ensure examination system reinforce teaching and learning. Most of the time we design a question paper, okay, this time this much of question must be answered by everybody so that students can pass. This question should be very difficult to the students. There is nothing called difficult and easy questions, whether the question is desired or valid or not. So that means that examination is not only provide marks to the students. If I just take, okay, I take an exam, oh, you got 80, oh, you got 70, you got 50. It is not true. The purpose of the examination is not to provide marks to the students. It is a reinforcement of teaching and learning. So what kind of reinforcement I can say taking that examination? As you know, that examination can be divided in two parts. One is called assessment and one is called evaluation. So there is an assessment and evaluation, two distinct terms. Assessment is the procedure to collect evidence about students' competence. And evaluation based on the collected competence, when I provide marks, that is called evaluation. So I cannot say, oh, I have a semester, end semester exam, I have a mid semester exam, I have a class test. Weightage of the class test is 20%, class test is must be 3 hours or 1 hour duration, say end semester must be 3 hour duration. Not that. It depends on what we want to assess. So it depends on the course. Suppose I teach a course, let's say digital signal processing. If I say that I want to assess the student's competence only 3 hours exam, I cannot say that, because signal processing may require implementation, programming, all kinds of things. So how can I assess those things in a 3 hour proctored exam? I have to think about what kind of assessment plan I should take. And that is your, when you calculate the attainment of your PO, since the last speaker is talking about the attainment of PO, direct attainment calculation, that is very much important. So how do I calculate the attainment of my CO and vice versa on PO? Then how to ensure lifelong learning? Today, we not only just teach the students, okay, I come to the class and derive a concept and just discuss the concept in the blackboards. That is not sufficient. I have to think about how the student self-learning has been happening. What should I do in the classroom so that student self-learning can be done? Next question is how to teach a large class. Today, you can say that, okay, I have a student, I have a class size of 150. If I ask the students, ask the participant, what should be the teacher-student ratio for a best teaching? In chat box, you can give answer. What should be the teacher-student ratio for best teaching? Or you can open up your mic also and give that answer. Somebody says 5. So somebody said 1. And if I say why? So somebody said 1:15. If I said 1:15, why not it is 1:20? Why not is 1:30? So in a large classroom, you said, okay, 1:15 is my class size. So if it is 100, I cannot teach. But that, if you think about that learning theory, what learning theory says that? Learning theory says that best teaching happens when the instruction, the delivery of the instruction matches with learner learning style and learning approaches. Now, if I say that by teaching delivery, that instruction is modulating as per the learner learning style and learning approaches at that time, at that topic, at that emotional state of that learner. So best teaching only can happen if the teacher-student ratio is 1:1. That we call personalized learning. So now I cannot say my class size will be 1:1. So how do I do that? How do I do 1:1 in my class size? Maybe it is 100 and 150 students in my class. So I have to think, here is the role of education, technology, accreditation, whatever you can say. Those things come into the picture. So virtually, I have to implement 1:1 teacher-student ratio in the class size. Reality, I cannot make it 1:1. I cannot do that because this is not possible, because today requirement versus the availability is the issue. So virtually, I have to do 1:1 teacher-student ratio. So what pedagogy as a teacher, what pedagogy, what education technology, or what andragogy, whatever you can say, I should use so that virtually 1:1 teacher-student ratio is implemented in my classroom. So those are the questions we have to find the answer. First question is, how do I engage the students in my class? Most of the time, students are not engaged. In my cases, I have taken a survey also. Most of the time, we ask the students, why you are not going to the class? The students said me, sir, give me 2 reasons. Why should I go to the class? Because the teacher is presenting a material which is available in the Google, which is available in that open educational domain. So why should I go to the class? Next question is skill development. Most of the time, if you see in our education system, whether it is school education or it is higher education, every time students say, sir, what is the model answer? What is that answer? So there is nothing called model answer. My question should be skill-based, whether I have developed the skill or not. That is very much important issue. Then continuous improvement is required. So how do I do that? So as a teacher, we are searching for the answer of those questions. Whether it is accreditation process, whether it is that, all things will be same if we are able to find out the answer of these questions. Now I come to that let's come to the topic which is called accreditation. You can say that it is called accreditation. So if I say why accreditation? What is the purpose for accreditation? Is it required for every institute, every program? Is accreditation improve the quality of the program? Can I say that, okay, my course is accredited, so my course is world class? Can I say that? So the purpose for accreditation is different. Not that purpose for accreditation is preparing a piece of document and which will be surveyed by a group of people and accredited, okay, you are accredited, you are not accredited. That is not the purpose. Purpose is very different. What is the purpose? Now, if I show you a pen, I think it is not visible. My background light is somehow, now it is visible. Okay, so suppose I show you the pen. If I say that, what is the quality of this pen? How do I measure the quality of this pen? Anybody? What are the techniques to measuring the quality of the pen? If I say this pen is a product. So all of you are using Amazon, Flipkart, or whatever that you site you are for buying a product. So when you're searching for a product and buying a product, you go for some review. Okay, this is out of 5, it got 4.5. So this is a good product. But it is that. So the meaning is that a product can be measured in two ways. One is called subjective measurement, another one is called objective measurement. What is subjective measurement? Many people say that pen is very good. That's why this pen is good. That is subjective measurement. And what is objective measurement? If I want to measure the quality of the pen objectively, then I have to define certain parameters. How it writes, what is the weight of the pen, what is the length of the pen, what is the color of the pen. So attribute. We design certain attribute based on which we want to measure the quality of the program, quality of the pen. Let's say I talk about, can I measure the quality of an educational program? Because an educational program are producing a set of skilled people. Because purpose for education is to producing skilled labor. So any program, whether it is a training program, whether it is a MTech program, whether it is a BTech program, if I say this is a program, then the output of the program is the student who are passing out from that program. So can I measure the quality of the program, vice versa, the quality of the product produced by that program? So I can measure in two ways, objectively and subjectively. Many people say that in India, the IIT BTechs are very good because it is subjective decision. Many people say that this quality is established by alumni, or I can say the survey. But if I want to measure the objectively, or I can define the question like that way. Suppose somebody said, I am a civil engineer, BTech civil engineer. Why society say, accept that the person is a BTech civil engineer? Or another requirement, let's say country A is producing BTech civil engineer after 10 plus 2 4-year study, and country B also produce BTech civil engineer after 10 plus 2 4-year study. Then how do we measure why the country B will accept country A product and country A will accept country B product. That means there is certain skill which must acquired by that BTech students who is pass out from that BTech program, which is essential for having a BTech civil engineer. So what is this essential skill? It is not that he remembered that all kinds of theory. He remembered that he can calculate the tension. He remembered that the force equation. Not like that. He had certain skill which he can exhibit to qualify as a BTech civil engineer. So what are those skills? So accreditation is nothing but a defining those skills that is done by the accreditation body. It may be a Washington Records, or in India it is called NBA. So Washington Records, what is Washington Records? It's nothing but a certain dimension of the skill. Okay, a BTech after 10+2 4-year or more than 4-year degree program must have, if a student said I have come from this kind of program, he must acquire those skills. So if you see in accreditation, there is a 12 skill is mentioned. What are those skills? If you see in accreditation, first skill, you know, people said it is knowledge of engineering science. This is not knowledge. What skill they want? They want cognitive skill. You know that Bloom's taxonomy, there is a cognitive skill, psychomotor skill, and effective domain skill. So what is required is the cognitive skill. What cognitive skill is required? Solution of a complex engineering problem. Don't read that knowledge of engineering and science. It is not true. True is the solution of a complex engineering problem. If you see, this green color line has a 2 dimensions. One is called cognitive skill, which is the solving ability. Another skill is the complexity domain. So I can say a civil engineer produced by a institute A and a civil engineer produced by the institute B may not be same. What is the variation? Their variation is the complexity. But skill-wise, no variation. I cannot say my electrical engineer only describe AC machine and institute B electrical engineer only design AC machine. No, both will be able to design AC machine, but the complexity of the design may vary. So that's why I cannot say, unless what will happen? The institute can write an accreditation document and everybody can follow it. But no, it is not true. Everybody's accreditation document will be different. Why? Because everybody's intention is not same. Suppose my institute intention is to produce an engineer who will do active research, then my complexity will be very high. If I say no, my institute is only supply a skilled labor for the local industry, then my skill complexity will be less, but cognitive skill will be same. So if you see in an accreditation document, there is every PO, which is called attribute to measuring the quality of a program, has a 2 dimensions. One is the cognitive skill, another is the complexity domain. Second PO, analyzing ability, and again complex engineering problem. Third, design ability, complex engineering problem. Fourth is investigation ability, and fifth is modern tools users ability. So those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It depends on the domain. If I am coming from a civil engineering, so I know the civil engineering design. I have an electronics engineering design. Not electronics engineer will know that civil engineering problem solving. No. Then they say, not only this domain skill, but they also require domain independent skill. Individual and teamwork, communication skill, engineering and society, ethics, environment and sustainability, project management and finance, and then lifelong learning. Many people say that, okay, we should offer a course on ethics so that PO can match. No. Domain independent ability has to be developed while they are developing domain dependent ability. So it is not that ethics can be developed by offering a multidisciplinary subject, humanities subject to the engineering students, ethics will be developed. No. It is mastery is that while I am developing their domain dependent skill, can I develop domain independent skill also? Let's say the communication skill. Are you believe that if I offer a course on English for communication or whatever your university are doing, that can develop the communication ability? No, every course must contribute towards communication ability development. So we required a change of teaching learning process. So we said that Washington Accords PO can be achieved not only by the course CO, but also the teaching learning process. So teaching learning process and CO of the course together mapped with the PO of the accreditation parameters or accreditation parameter, or which called PO. So this is the mastery requirement from teachers. So while I'm teaching a course on electrical machine design, can I say that I am developing their communication skill, I am developing their teamwork, I am teaching the engineering ethics, I am developing their lifelong learning. So all those things I have to develop while I am teaching a course on electrical machine design. So that is the requirement for implementing accreditation in the classroom. If accreditation is not on a piece of paper which is required by a body to survey it and okay, you are following this, okay, you are accredited. Not like that. It has to be implemented in the classroom, and your outcome, your graduates who saw that yes, they have developed this. So if I ask you that how should I do it? How do I implement accreditation in the classroom? And how should I solve the questions which I raised in the first slides? Is there any solution or is there any methodology? Okay, this kind of teaching learning process, this kind of curriculum design will help. You may be project-based learning, flip teaching, blended learning. You may ask many things. But if I ask you that flip teaching, what to flip? Everybody knows what is flip teaching, but what to flip? You have to define. So how do I define that precisely, that what to flip? Blended learning, what to blend? I have to define what to blend. So we said that yes, this can be achieved, that you can implement accreditation in the classroom, and the questions which I raised in the first slide can be solved using a method which is called outcome-based education or OBE. So is the OBE is different? Sorry, is the OBE is different that what about the current teaching learning process we are doing? I said no. Then what is OBE? What is outcome-based learning? So in outcome-based learning, what is the role of the teachers? So in outcome-based learning, but it says that the role of the teacher to define the goal based on the requirement of accreditation. The role of the teacher is to define the goal based on the requirement of accreditation and guide and mentor the students to reach the goal, not to teach in the class. So a teacher is a guide and mentor to the students who will reach the goal. Students will reach the goal, not teacher will reach the goal. So I write a course outcome, very difficult course outcome. None of the students is reached that. No use. So as a teacher, I have to define the goal as per the requirement of accreditation. So I am implementing accreditation in the classroom, and I have to guide and mentor the students to reach the goal. It may not be a 1 hour classroom teaching. It may be a different thing. So in an outcome-based education, what is the principle? The learning is learner responsibility, not teacher responsibility. Who will learn? Students will learn, not teacher will learn. So it is not important what teacher will deliver in the class. It is important what students acquire from the class. So that's why it is said the learning is learner responsibility, not teacher responsibility. So how do I do that? How do I implement it in my classroom? So I'll just explain that part only, that how do I implement that OBE in my classroom so that I can say I have implemented accreditation in my classroom and I have solved the questions which I raised in the first slide. So for that purpose, what we have done, we designed a framework which is called OBE Curriculum Design Framework, which is designed by us in a framework, there is a software, and this framework will relate these three things. Learning objective means instructional objective, or which is called outcome, learning material, and assessment questions to satisfy that learning outcome. So I cannot say, oh, you read this book, or you read this chapter. I cannot say that. I have to be very precise that, okay, you have to achieve this objective or this skill. You have to do this, do this, do this, and you can achieve this skill. So as a teacher, we said, can you design that curriculum in outcome-based manner? Today, what is there? Today, we have a syllabus. Every university you can go, you can say there is a syllabus. Let's say, give an example. Suppose I am teaching a course on digital signal processing. And what is available to me is a syllabus. Syllabus is nothing but a list of topics. So think about the situation. Suppose I am a teacher, I am very much familiar with, let's say, analog to digital conversion. Then you say that systems and signals, and then I say discrete Fourier transform or frequency transform. But I have very shaky knowledge on filter design. So what we will do? Most of the time of our class lecture hour, we spend on 3 topics only. And we just touch the filter design. Who will deprive? The students will deprive. Somebody may say I am teaching a VLSI course. He start from the color code of the registers. And then he spend most of the time on introduction, most of the time on basic. No, basic must be learned, but advanced is not covered. Then who is deprived? Students is deprived. So what we said, can you design the curriculum which is desired for that course? So in the curriculum design, we have a course overview, course level learning outcome, course level practice problem. Every outcome will be linked with problem. Then the course module means chapter, then module overview, then module level outcome, then practice problem, module learning strategy, and then lecture, and the lecture summary, lecture level outcome. So this structure we have implemented in a software. I'll show you the software. Then I will explain that what should be the teaching learning process so that we can solve the questions which I raised in the first slide and also implement that accreditation in the classroom. So I'll just show you the software. Is it visible? Moderator, my screen is visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Yes.
Okay, visible. So this is a software called www.ide.idkgp.ac.in, where you can find out this software, this framework. This is not completely developed framework, but yes, the framework is somehow available so that you can develop your own curriculum. Let's give an example, then I come to how to develop your own course. Let's go to the course view. There is some courses which are already developed or available. So you can go through those courses and you can find out, but outcomes may not be fully correct. So if you see, when I designed the course, we said there will be a course overview. The course overview is not only, here only has the coverage of the course, but not only the coverage of the course, it must contain the motivation of the course. That means one paragraph, what you do in your past lecture or past day, or how do you motivate the students to take this course. I have a simple analogy. If you remember that Sukumar Ray, since The forum is Bengali background. I can give philosophical example from Bengali sides. If you know that Sukumar Ray, there is a one poem that Bidda Bajay Baba Musai Chori Suker Bote Majire Kana Bolte Pari Sujji Kana Bote. That means you know Maxwell equation, you know Schrodinger equation, but you do not know how to apply those things in real life situation. Then if you remember that last line, the last para, last stanza of that poem, that what are the keys, what would it no get a dule, Maji Coin, Baba Musa, Satajano, then the Maji asks that, or you can say that boat driver asks that learned person, are you not swimming? The learned person said, no. Then say your life is hell right now. So not only the information, so how do you motivate your students to take this course? You have to explain them why they have to acquire those skills. If they do not know this skill, what can happen to their life? So can I write one paragraph on it for motivation to the students? So that is course overview. Then there will be a course outcome. There will be a course outcome. And there will be a course, every outcome linked with a test item. So if I am able to solve these questions, I have achieved this outcome. And outcomes are nothing but a skill. And then a course is divided into module. So module 1, that means chapter 1. There will be a chapter overview, then chapter outcome, then chapter outcome linked with test item. Then chapter learning strategy. Here you guide the students. Don't say, read this book. Oh, this book is very old, you read this book. If you say that, none of the students will read that book. For this chapter, this book, this page to this page, sufficient. This book, this simulation, you can observe for this concept. This NPTEL course or this Coursera, this Khan Academy course, you can observe for this concept, particular. So module learning strategy. Then a module is divided in a lecture. So every lecture is called unit. Every lecture has a lecture summary, lecture outcome. Again, outcome will link to test item, and you may supply lecture video or not, doesn't require. So lecture summary is sufficient. So you develop this entire course. This is called outcome-based curriculum design. You develop this entire course outcome, course overview, every outcome linked with a test item. So this whole thing is available to the students before they come to the class. You just give this document to the students before they come to the class. So none of the students, if you ask the students that why you not come prepared in the class, students said unless I attend the class, I do not know what topic teacher will cover, what depth, maybe the topic name they may know, but what depth the teacher will cover that topic, I do not know. So that's why I have not read in the class, before I come to the class. And once the class is over, I find out this can be read during the semester. Okay, this can be done in 7 days before the semester. That's why I have not read in the hostels. To avoid that, what I can do, I said I have given this document to the students before they come to the class. Then you come to the class as a teacher. They know what lecture will be given. So let's say that tomorrow I'll take lecture number 1. So they know lecture summary, lecture outcome, what kind of problem they have to solve for this kind of lecture. Everything they know. Now they come prepared in the class. Now your class is fully engaged. Why? Because in the class, instead of delivering that information, solving an equation from one corner board to another corner of the board, you are basically describing the concept and test them, giving a new problem related to that concept. Okay, you have read this. Can you solve this problem? So your class becomes interactive. So once my class is interactive, then I can say I am developing their communication skill, and developing their self-learning ability. And student engagement. Every class students are engaged. It is not that they are come to the class, okay, teacher is doing this, okay, I'll read it there. Not like that.
Professor Mondal, I would like to, so we are running behind the time.
Okay, just
so
another 2 to 3 minutes I will take. So this is the answer for student engagement. Then if you can see, there is a add content. Suppose some of your ex-students can modify. Let's say you are taking a course on data structure and algorithm, and you write that this is my course outcome. Some of your ex-students who are in the industry may say, sir, this kind of skill is not required for today's industry. You better to modify this kind of skill. So he can give you active feedback. So this is the collaborative development of the curriculum. Direct industry feedback will come to the particular skill of a project, of a course. Then you say, how do I amend? You said that NBA says that, or accreditation body says that continuous improvement of the curricula is required. When you check the accreditation, then your attainment, you find out that course COE is not attained, then what measure I should take so that next time the COE is attained? This is the measure. As a teacher, I can find out this kind of problem students are not able to solve, so that next time I add another problem. So as a reviewer, I can see your course, evaluation of your course. I can find out you are changing the course or not. So it is already documented. Self-learning ability. Outcomes are given to the students. So students are self-learned. Their large classroom problem, multi-section large classroom problem. We have this problem is existing everywhere. One section teacher is good, my section teacher is not good. Students complain. Develop this curriculum, give it to every students of every section. Use the teacher who is a very good problem solver as a problem solving in all sections. Use the teacher who is a very good concept clearer for concept clearing all sections. So students should not know that, okay, this teacher is not cover this point. It should not arise. Student, before they attend the class, they know that. So once they develop the outcome, course outcome, they achieve, basically you're implementing accreditation in the classroom. So that is the process, or I can use, you can say it is a blended learning. You can say that it is a blended learning principle. So whatever that, but you can use it for implementing accreditation in the classroom and engaging the students throughout the semester for your course. So I'm not going to details of the how to measure the attainment, CO, PO. So those are available. You can see if you search in YouTube, my lecture, accreditation and outcome-based education, you get entire things, assessment, evaluation, attributes of good teaching, all those things are available in YouTube. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Mondal. We are already running a bit late, so maybe we'll skip the Q&A part and directly move to the panel discussion. Since Professor Mondal is a very known person here, so definitely if you have some questions, you can direct him those questions through email. Yeah, through email. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So today we have so Professor Mondal, if you can unshare your screen, then
yes, just a minute.
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yeah, now it's okay. Fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have two distinguished panel members for today's sessions, Professor Meghat and Professor Firoz Alam. Let me introduce our panelists first. So Professor Meghat is a principal of MJ Consultant since he retired from UTM. Professor Meghat was instrumental in securing Malaysia's full membership of the Washington Accord, and he was also responsible for Malaysia's accession to the Sydney and Dublin Accords. He was appointed as a board member to the BEM since 2017 and chairing its examination and qualification committee. He is the deputy chair of Engineering Technology Accreditation Council, ETEC, since 2019. Prof. Megat is a registered professional engineer with practicing certificate from the Board of Engineers Malaysia. He is a fellow and the past vice president of the Institution of Engineers Malaysia, and he is the current president and fellow of the Malaysian Society of Engineering and Technology, myself. So I would request Prof. Megat to provide us your valuable observations and comments on today's presentation. And for the sake of time, I would request you to keep your speech within 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. If I can share my observations. Let's see. All right. Thank you very much for the introduction. That was, I think, probably a bit too much for me. But what I intend to do now is trying to look at what has been covered for the day. And every one of us actually know that the requirements for an academic staff teaching at the university is about research, teaching, and providing services. I mean, if you look at the major three areas. And possibly research has been always in the limelight, whereby promotion is always much related to research, the output of research and so on, and possibly a bit of the services. But no one can actually say, you know, your teaching is great. Everybody has a similar sort of level of teaching, or, you know, it's not really being given much emphasis, one would say. It is more like if your, that means to say, if your mentor previously behaved in such a way in terms of teaching, you probably would be following suit as how he or she did in the past and relate to your current student. So really, teaching is a difficult area to consider unless we have a clear framework, right? What do we expect from teaching? Now, what really happened is we have been talking a lot about the outcome-based curriculum design, right? So what is it really? I mean, we probably get engrossed with OBE, sometimes over, sometimes probably under. But exactly, it is about the PEO, PO, and CO. I think all the speakers have been talking about it, right? What is the objective of the program eventually to produce what? And what are the requirements in order to produce those kind of graduates? What will be the PO and the CO? And usually, it's a mapping that is being done by universities. It may just stop there. You have a mapping, and then you will say, yeah, that justifies the sort of planning that is required. And of course, when it comes to accreditation, some of the evaluators may say, yeah, that looks fine. But then again, what is the real outcome, right? So then when it comes to the mapping, what guides you to the mapping? Is it, do you have a certain model in mind? Is it going to be, I think some of the speakers may have talked about it, comprehensive, culminating, and so on. I mean, you can have many different models. So we cannot say that every university must have the specific model. Right? So you may have different model as you go along. And then comes the specification and delivery. Why is it really important to have a clear specification of the courses that you want to deliver? Which is very much, sometimes we ask this question, we could always be going back to the conventional way of doing things. You know, we want to go to outcome-based, but we may go back to the conventional way of doing things because we are very much familiar on what we have been doing, right? So it's the comfort zone. But then again, if you look at the division of the expectation, you need to look at the knowledge component, you need to look at the skill component, you need to look at the affective component. So can you deliver it based on the conventional way of doing things? So the question is, sometimes, can you fit in with the learning style of your students? Or are we interested in it? That's something to do with the delivery. On the other hand, when we do all this PEO mapping and so on, we need to actually come up with an assessment, right? So imagine you've done the delivery, you've done the assessment, right? So that is an important element. In fact, if you don't do assessment, there is no proof that the learning has taken place, right? Some people say, never mind, we just talk about it, right? The students should be able to get it. Therefore, we can assume that they have those outcomes. No. Assessment is a necessary evil, right? Of course, if we can do away with it, fine. But at the moment, there's no alternatives to the assessment. And also assessment of the PEO. Remember the 3 to 5 years that we talk about? And we need to relate. There is a correlation between the kind of PEO and CO that we do with the PEO assessment. I mean, where they would go. If you don't prepare them from the beginning, they wouldn't go to all those areas that you wanted them to be involved in, right? If you want them to be involved, let's say, as an engineer with the community, that's one of your PEO. Are there any in your PO as well as the CO, right? Really preparing them for that. So that's why some people say the PO is not that important. Really, that is where we talk about the top-down design of a curriculum. You must know what is your objective, and then only you can develop. The problem is the accrediting body has already given you the 12 or 13 POs that you need to develop, right? So we are sort of, skewed towards the requirements of accreditation, not so much of the requirements of the PEO. Right? In fact, you are supposed to be comparing it later on, whatever you found, with what the accrediting body does or provide you with. Then there comes the issue of assessment rubrics. Why do we have it? It's because of the lot of subjectivity in many of the areas, right? I mean, some are very objective in nature that you can do the assessment, but the rubrics help you in areas where there are a lot of subjectivities. So the outcome base is all about evaluation, assessment and evaluation. And if you are not able to evaluate them effectively, you may not be able to know the attainment. And not to forget constructive alignment. I think based on the accreditation visit that we see, especially those who just got into the outcome-based bandwagon, we do find that we have a plan, everything all nicely done, mapped and so on, but you are assessing something else. There is no alignment of what you plan as to what you can really measure from your plan. Right? Questions are probably not even related to the way that the delivery is being done, the objective and so on, right? So all these are about outcomes, the curriculum, and assessment. Now, if talk about CQI, all this has got to be done. I mean, you need to do some evaluation, all this CQI that you need to do. But whom do you involve? Stakeholders, and most of the time is the academics and the industry. But problem is sometimes we are a bit afraid, when we say if we give this to the industry, they will change everything in the curriculum. And then the industry says, you academics, you're not interested to hear from us, right? So again, you have this probably mistrust between the two. So how could you actually establish something that works well, which is normally your industry advisory board? But what will be their role in the CQI? Or what will be their role in the overall attainment of these outcomes? Are they just there to give you advice, or are they part and parcel of providing that guides as well as participating in the provision of that outcomes? If they are just giving advice and they go back after 1 year, they come back and so on, I don't think it's really an effective way of doing things. In fact, they need to participate. In fact, there are many ways to participate, right? For example, they get involved in maybe a final year students project. They can get involved as guest lectures and many others. So you need to think about that when we talk about CQI, really, right? But remember, the academic staff is still the gatekeeper, despite all the feedbacks that you may get. So CQI then leads to what we will always call about accreditation, right? That's what, in order for accreditation, the evaluators that come in would like to see what have you done, what sort of improvement that you have actually done. Is it really an outcome base, right? Okay. Now, next is, if we look at accreditation, most of the time, the important element is about academic curriculum and whether they are actually organized around outcome-based, right? So that's the main principle. Of course, there are other aspects like facilities, about students, academic staff, and so on. But these are the major, these two are the major aspects. It means to say failure on this is the failure of the overall accreditation. You can have excellent facilities, it doesn't work, right? So, and evaluators like to see evidence, right? Because it's all about evidence-based. Where are your outputs talking about assessment and evaluation, right? Have you actually planned? Have you monitored them? Have you taken action? That's basically what is the whole process about. But at the end of the day, it is important that you have this, the knowledge profile are appropriate. The relevant knowledge that could actually be used to actually solve complex problems are the one that determines whether your outcome-based curriculum is actually working. Remember, any accreditation is all about looking at the breadth and depth of your program, of your courses. So it is really a paradigm shift if we want to look at it, right? And outcome-based is a paradigm shift. So many academic staff looks at it as a burden. Why? Mainly because they may not be interested in really looking at it seriously, contributing to the development of the students in terms of the knowledge, in terms of the skill, and as well as the attitude. It is enough just to say, give them what they need, let them survive on their own. But rather, outcome-based is more likened to academic staff are actually facilitators of the learning process. I think that's the paradigm shift that we are looking at. And it is a systematic process. Of course, very systematic if you put them in that system. Okay, so all in all, as accreditation is very much into, if you look at the international requirements, they will be interested to look at your national accreditation body in terms of how robust these bodies are in implementing all these processes, and at the same time, whether the standard of education provided, right, whether it's outcome-based or not, is the standard of education provided is substantially equivalent. I think that's just my remarks just to start off with. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Megat, for your critical assessment of the proceedings. So now we have Professor Firoz Alam. I would like to introduce Professor Alam. So Professor Firoz Alam is a professor in the School of Engineering at RMIT University in Melbourne. He completed his PhD in vehicle aerodynamics from the same university in 2000. He received his master's degree in aeronautical engineering with honors from Riga Civil Aviation Engineers Institute, former Soviet Republic of Latvia, in 1991. Professor Alam's research interests include thermal fluid mechanics, aerodynamics of aircraft, road vehicles, trains, buildings, sports, energy, engineering, education, curriculum design, pedagogy, quality assurance, and accreditation. Prof. Alam has over 300 publications. He is currently serving as editor-in-chief and editorial board member for over half a dozen international scientific journals. Prof. Alam is a fellow of Institution of Engineers Australia, chartered professional engineer, and APSA engineer. He is an active member of several other professional societies and associations, including American Society of Mechanical Engineers, American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, Society of Automotive Engineers, USA and Australia, International Society of Bionic Engineering, and Australian Society of Energy and Power. Prof. Alam received RMIT University's Best Teacher Award in 2004 and Engineers Australia's Award for Engineering Education Research Design in 2017. So I would like to request Professor Alam to give us his valuable comments on today's sessions.
Thank you for the very long introduction. I wanted to share a couple of slides. I think if I can share it, hopefully. First of all, I thank the organizing university and the committee for organizing this beautiful two-day symposium on a very important topic, outcome-based learning, integration, quality assurance, and also assessment, and particularly also rubrics. So our previous presenters and also speakers actually highlighted everything very elaborately. I just wanted to summarize with a couple of slides. So first of all is coming the quality assurance of our education program. It starts 3 stages. First, institutional quality assurance, that is the most fundamental. If it is wrong, nobody can help you. And that could be course level, program level, and within the institutional level. And then, of course, national quality assurance, that is professional accreditation body of the particular country. And later on, benchmarking with the international, that is with the Washington Accord or European Network for Accreditation of Engineering Education. But why we need it? What actually helps? What are the things we need to do with this quality assurance? We need to undertake continuous improvement, academic courses, program, pedagogy with reflective feedback. Carry out continuous improvement of institutions' infrastructures, teaching and learning resources. That is also vital. Undertake regular national and international benchmarking of programs quality, curriculum, pedagogy to establish best practices. And most importantly, enhance institutional management efficiency. Because when an external body comes, they provide some advice, some suggestion. At that time, our top level management acts. If we say something as a field level soldiers, teachers, if we say something, our management will react very less. This is also an important aspect of this. And now, let's go to look at the small slide about the whole outcome-based curriculum. Before we start any program, first of all, we need to see this, our graduates, whether they can get employment, whether they will be in great demand, or at least normal demand, I would say. So that's why we need to get industry feedback. Which area they need, where is the skill shortage, which area need to specialize. Once we get that, once we know what are the skills needed, and then we also need to look at, as Professor Noor very nicely mentioned, the national competency standard. That is the accreditation board. What are the competencies there? How can we align with the industry needs? and of course, students and parents feedback. Now, I think some of you most probably surprised that why students and parents in the beginning of the program development. In Australia, we essentially have a liaison. Every university has a liaison person with the high school. We also need to motivate. We also see what the students want in the future. So we also get the feedback from there, and also students come to us to see our facilities, get their interest in this particular area. So all this, you made a plan, everything is there. Of course, then you develop your course learning outcomes, individual course, program learning outcome, and then program educational outcome. Because some countries, the program learning outcome and program educational outcome may be different. So it needs to be aligned. But some countries like Australia, most of the engineering universities, they are aligned together with the program learning outcome. We do not have a program educational outcome separate. And then, of course, institutional vision. And then from there, we go most important part, teaching and learning systems, course learning, course curriculum and syllabus. We need to design pedagogy, how we will be doing these things, how will we deliver this particular thing, teaching and learning methods, and resources to support, and then, of course, learning activities, because how the student will learn. And of course, student does everything, we as a teacher did everything, but how do we know a student actually achieved these objectives? And that's why the assessment is coming. And the assessment, it needs to be in the course level. As you know, in Australia, every courses should have at least minimum three types of assessment, not any assessment, not more than 50%, but it cannot be more than 5. So all these things we look at, and then after that, we have internal, some other assessment, other quality assurance and evaluation process. Some of the presenters mentioned about there. I don't want to go into the details, but I'll be happy to talk about that thing more in details. And then we are coming, okay, where we can improve. And that things again, we are feeding back in our planning process again. So look at there, plan, do, check, act. The whole cycle is our outcome-based education system. But one important thing, our graduate when come out, they need to be work ready. In Australia, in developed country, the industry do not want to train graduate. They want, after appointment, in 15 minutes introduction, they say, this is your desk, study your work, this is your things. And if they say, oh, I don't know anything, so no, that is your university's job. It is not our job to teach you. So this is an important thing. And in Australia, more than 90% students are going to work as an engineer after their graduation. Maybe in developing countries slightly different, because some students are going for higher studies. So this is the stage 1 competency. As you remember, national competency standard in Australia. This is our 3 level. First, stage 1 is our bachelor level degree, and stage 2 is for professional, chartered professional engineer, and stage 3, then engineering executive, but that we are not going into that because that is not educational part. So stage 1, we have 3 sets of category of competency: knowledge or theoretical knowledge, or skills, then application, then also personal attributes. Engineering education in the world is very much standard. Most institution, poor country, rich country, doesn't matter. Everyone follows the knowledge and skill base. That thing they have engineering applicability, how to apply the knowledge into practice to solve problems. But if you look at the other soft skill, there are 6 of them out of 16, and they also need to be embedded in the courses, in the subjects, modules, units, and also need to be assessed. And this is a little bit of example. A program, I don't want to say which program, and you see these are the subjects. Unfortunately, it's very tiny writing, you cannot see it. And then you can see all the 16 competency of the Institution of Engineers Australia stage 1. And then you can see each of the subjects, there are different letters, T, P, M. T, it means teach, P is a practice, M is a measurement. As Professor Noor very clearly mentioned, without a measurement, we cannot say that competency actually attained. Our students is actually achieved that objectives. So any subject you can see that where there is no M, that is not interested by our accreditation body. They said, no, we don't have evidence. This is an important. And you can see 2 particular subjects. You can see professional research project or professional research project 1 and 2. They have a lot of TPM. So that is the pyramid structure on the top, where you are a student showing their knowledge application in this area. And this is the now the accreditation process, always coming with your measurable program learning outcomes. And then you need to show the demonstration how this is embedded in the program, in the courses. And of course, as the soldiers, I always say teacher is the soldiers, we need to do all these things. We need to collect all the evidence, how we are achieving this. But not 1 year, but 2 years, or 3 years. In Australia, every 5-year cycle. So essentially, we already start one share, finished, immediately next one, we start all the collection of evidence. And then systematically we collect our accreditation panel comes, stage 4, they look at, and they provided their feedback. What are the things, our deficiency, where we can improve, where we are doing very good. And then, of course, we act in stage 6, and again, we embed it into the system cycle all the time going, every 5 years period. So here, everyone has a role to play. Academics, individual lecturers, program, the administrator, department head, school head, whatever it is, and our accreditation body, and also we need to put everything together, and also students, and also graduates, and also industries. This is the whole process finished. But there, one thing I think yesterday some people actually talked about the Bloom's taxonomy, Benjamin Bloom's, and this is the taxonomy. You can see he's actually himself is a psychologist, and he developed these things that how the information need to be, knowledge need to be gathered, it need to be comprehended, it need to be applied, it need to be analyzed, and it need to be applied so that you can evaluate and also create a new knowledge. So this is the pyramid structures. And I always say that our year 1 in a 4th degree bachelor degree program is the remembering knowledge, understanding the knowledge, applying the knowledge slowly starts. Everything, but the degree of level will be less, particularly application side, analyzing side. But it will be progressively go there. Final year, they need to show the product of their knowledge. And that is a little story how this Washington Accord or this thing start. First, it started with the 6 countries of English-speaking country, 1989, and then of course all the process is coming, and then IEA, International Engineering Alliance, 2007, and now they are also interacting with the European network of accreditation of engineering education network. So these are the things are going on, but I think that is the main things with what I wanted to say. Now I'll be happy to talk to you if anyone has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Alom and Prof. Mega. More we interact with our distinguished experts in the field of engineering education, more we learn. And keeping ourselves in the learning process is very important because the engineering profession and also the underlying education is constantly evolving. And definitely occasions like this, the International Symposium, provides us a way to interact with the others, and this provides us a chance to learn from others. So I'd like to thank the IQAC of Asanullah University of Science and Technology for organizing this symposium and also making myself a part of it. And thanks for everyone for attending the sessions and participating in it in a lively and a very interactive manner. And with all this, I would like to conclude the session and hand it over to the organizers. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.